geography now. Bhutan. Let's show some respect to this amazing country for the final 11 minutes here, man. Sorry, I don't know what was supposed to happen there, man. Interesting though, very, very relaxing. So let's finish today's stream with sweaty ass, and let's show some respect to the great nation of Bhutan. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
One thing you might not know is that Bhutan is a country.
It's time to learn geography.
So good.
Hey everybody, I'm your host Paul Barbado. Please call me Barbie. And today
HelloFresh is really good. It's very expensive, but they give you such diverse food, man. HelloFresh is
we
really
head
nice.
out to the Himalayas, so make sure you strap your boots on, because we're going to Bhutan. No, but seriously, here, let's dissect the flag.
Oh, they have this flag. And the other ones on the left, the Nepalese, they have that fucking weird-ass flag. As a child, I could never understand someone has a different
into
flag.
two separate parts, the yellow and the orange. In the middle is a large black and white dragon. The yellow represents the civil tradition and temporal authority of the king. Typically, kings will wear yellow scarves on their garbs, and the orange represents Buddhism. The dragon is Druk, the thunder dragon from Bhutanese mythology, straddled between the two colors to signify the equal importance of both civic and monastic tradition.
That's a cool flag. Looks like straight out of Game of Thrones, bro. Like some fucking dragon empire in Essos.
Of the country. Druk the dragon is white to signify the purity of inner thoughts and deeds, and is carrying 4 jewels in each claw to signify the wealth and security of the country.
Dude, that's the 4 guns the country has built since
Dude, this flag
1946.
has a dragon on it. That's a win in my book.
With all due respect, what do you think if you ask 1,000 Americans, where's Bhutan? How many could point to it? Because I think when you see these, when you see that stuff, it's far more than you think that don't know it.
Cool little interesting side note, Bhutan actually calls itself Druk Tseden, which means the land of the thunder dragon. Alright, so now let's talk about where it's located. First of all, Bhutan is landlocked in Asia, right above India, below China's
Is that Mount Everest here? That? Or?
And close to Nepal in the west, but separated by India's Sikkim district. The capital is Thimpu, located in the northwest part of the country, and is divided into 20 districts, or zongas, which technically translates to fortress areas. Now, when you look at the
I don't know much about Nepal. I just remember many years ago, a big YouTuber was in Nepal, and he vlogged it. Gronk, the biggest drum YouTuber. And I was watching that, and he said, people that go to Nepal say it's beautiful, it's nice, but you see so much poverty, man. There you have so many beggars that come up to you, a lot of children, they ask for money, and if you give them $1, the whole village comes to you. And secondly, they burn their dead people in the river. All day long, it smells weird, because there's this big river, and when you die in Nepal, they burn you and then put you in the river, which is why you shouldn't really drink from the river, and they're kind of fucking up their own river in a way, but it smells really weird in that city, because you literally walk around the street and you see a human body being burned.
To the map, Bhutan actually has 3 disputed areas with
Still
China
smells better
in the
than
west
Berlin.
and in the
I
north
agree
parts
with you
of the
there.
country. In the west, you have the Doklam Plateau, and in the north, you have the Jakarlung and Pasamnung valleys. Now, here's the thing. Bhutan is actually incredibly isolated from the rest of the world. In fact, they only have 1 international airport. Paro Airport in the town of Paro, known for its world-famous...
But a country like Bhutan must have been really, really safe with Corona. One sec. How many Corona deaths Bhutan? It's like a 12 or something. Wait, 0? What? Wait. Wait, what? Total case. They have 2 deaths. 2 deaths. 2 deaths. 2 deaths. They have 2 deaths. Damn, fuck. 2 people. Jeez.
Tiger's Nest Monastery, built on a cliff with a 900
Tourism
drop,
must have brought
located
it there,
about
right?
22 miles away from Thimpu. The airport only has 1 runway, but a beautiful terminal built in the style of traditional Bhutanese Dzong architecture. Now, here's the thing. Getting into Bhutan is a little difficult because foreigners are allowed to go in, but they have to pay a $250 daily tariff. That's right. Every day you spend in Bhutan will cost you a minimum of $250.
Oh, that's not how you attract tourists, man. Jesus Christ. I have to pay $1K to stay 4 days? Bro, oh. And if you look about their value, $250 is probably a shit ton of money in their currency. Whoa.
Of course, this cost covers a state-provided hotel and a tour guide.
What is this, OnlyFans?
Around. However, the cool thing is a portion of this money goes towards funding educational facilities.
That's
in Bhutan.
good, yeah.
So
but
when you go there
you
and pay the
tourists?
tariff, you're actually kind of inadvertently helping the country as well. The only foreigners that are exempt from this tariff are Indians, Bengalis, and Maldivians. All they have to do is just show their IDs. They don't even need a passport, and they don't have to pay for the tariff. Francais? Pay up. Svensk? Pay up. Canadian? Oh, you better pay up. Indian? Oh, sure enough, sugar. Come over here. Let's have some sweet tea and crawfish. I don't know why I made
it
Bhutan
covers a hotel and a guide, though. Sorry, I didn't
Now,
listen.
although there are many
okay.
dirt paths that technically cross the border of Bhutan from India, there are only 3
There's literally a dirt path into new
main
country. That's
highways
so cool.
and roads that people typically use. The Daranga Road, the 152 Bhutan Road, and the most common one, the Point Sholing Timbu Highway, located on the border towns of Point Sholing, Bhutan, and
That right there is the one infrastructure.
Jalgaon, India. Most people use this road to get in.
$250 is 18,642 in their currency. What is the currency of Bhutan called? Epic Thunder Coin?
The cities and towns are almost like stepping into a time warp. Many of the buildings and towns are well preserved and over hundreds of years old, including many of the dzongs or fortresses. In fact, the language of Bhutan is called Dzongkha, or the language of the fortress. This means that Bhutan has kind of maintained the ambiance of a strange balance between ancient and slow, deliberate modernization.
They use bottom caps? Come on. Hey, this is kind of fucking hate speech. Come on. What is the fucking currency in Bhutan? It's shells? Dude, come on. Come on. Okay,
pretty much every town you go. Unfortunately, getting around in Bhutan can be quite tedious.
That sounds like the worst, the first real
has to traverse steep Himalayan mountains. And these mountains are actually really important to the people. And we'll discuss those mountains in...
Okay.
Now, when it comes to landscape, Bhutan takes things very, very seriously. In fact, it's disputably the most greenest, eco-friendly country in the world. And it's actually quite Bhutan-iful. No? Okay, first off, the country...
Sometimes I wonder or think about, yes, countries like North Korea and Bhutan are very weak and can't keep up with big countries. But if global warming is successful and the human race gets really fucked in the next years, don't you think certain countries, like up in the mountain, Bhutan, is going to be really successful? They're gonna really be the big winners of global warming?
Is located almost entirely in the southern slopes
like
of
at least
the
they're not dying, you know?
range, and the country is almost
they're
completely mountainous with steep valleys and alpine hills that eventually drain into the southern plains of India. In fact, at about 7,000 meters or about 24,000 feet, Bhutan actually has the world's highest unclimbed mountain.
is the currency.
It's considered a holy site to the Bhutanese people and is therefore left alone. Also, as of right now, Bhutan is the world's only carbon sink nation. This means they actually absorb more CO2 than they produce.
The only nation in the world with negative carbon output. Wow.
And this can be attributed to a lot of things. For one, it's the only country in the world with constitutional obligations set upon its citizens to maintain at least 60% of the land under forest cover. Right now, Bhutan is at about 70%. If people cut down trees to aid the construction of their homes, they're typically required to plant new trees to replace the ones that are chopped down. Most of the...
I know you guys hate when I say this, but I feel like there should be global law. Like America, the European Union, they should have a law. For every tree that you cut down, you have to plant a new one.
The country is powered by hydroelectric power that they receive from turbines, from
They even have fucking green energy, bro, from
hydroelectricity makes up about 40% of Bhutan's export sector.
Nice, man.
They sell it
this is
India,
some future shit,
also makes Bhutan the only country in the world where renewable energy is their largest export. In recent years, Bhutan's mission was to provide every single citizen with electricity. If rural households didn't have electricity, the government would issue free solar panels, even though sunlight is kind of limited in the Himalayas. Bhutan is also the only country in the
every tree we cut down in Sweden. That's great, man.
They are seen as a major source
that
of pollution.
Also exists in
and
the
they also
already?
completely banned tobacco and
is this
cigarettes.
A progressive
Another thing Bhutan
superpower?
takes very seriously is its wildlife.
Bhutan is a secret
Various
superpower.
animals like langurs, Bengal tigers, sloth bears, red pandas.
That's fucking mental. Imagine you walk around the jungle and there's a fucking tiger. I was reading this article months ago that there's a village in India that is recently getting attacked by Bengal tigers. The tiger is coming at night and he gets a guy and goes away with him. The next morning you wake up and Raj is fucking gone, bro. That legit happens. It's fucking crazy.
Sambars, the beautiful and rare clouded
Where's
leopard,
Raj? Oh,
blue sheep,
and
those strange barking deer that have fangs. I'm not even joking. There's an animal called the barking deer and it has fangs. Look it up. In fact, it is a very serious punishable crime to kill any endangered species in Bhutan. If anybody is caught killing a black-necked crane, they could receive a life sentence in prison. The food here is great, by the way.
I like that, man.
Believe it or not, these
like
people
that
actually
shit,
like
man.
really spicy foods. Let's talk more about these people.
Very interesting.
Due to the isolation and mandated culture rules, the people of Bhutan are, without a doubt, some of the most notably distinct and intriguing inhabitants of Earth. First of all, although the numbers are debatable, modern estimates put the country at a population of somewhere around 800,000 people. About half of them identify as Ngolop and 22% as a similar Sharchop, or the Eastern people. This can also include the indigenous tribes found within Bhutan. And 28% identify as Lhotshampa, or the Southern people, mostly in Nepalese origin. Most of the people in Bhutan, about 70%, identify with either the Kagyu or the Nyingma branches of Buddhism, and the remaining, about 28%, identify with Hinduism, mostly the Lhotshampa.
But even Buddhism has different branches. How come all these religions always have different branches, man?
In the south. The official language is Dzonga. However, there are about 53 other Tibetan-based languages and dialects spoken throughout the country. Bhutanese people are very intent on maintaining their nationalism and identity, so much to the point where the king issued a culture law that decreed all citizens to adhere to certain standards of life to maintain the Bhutanese identity amongst the citizens. This meant things like mandatory clothing laws, rituals, holidays, and so on. To this day, when entering government buildings and offices and culture centers, men are required to wear a go and women are required to wear a kira, the traditional clothing of Bhutan. This rule caused a lot of backlash, especially with the Lhotshampa minority, whom were mostly Nepalese and refused to follow the culture and wardrobe law. Things got so bad that Bhutan actually ended up exiling over 100,000 Lhotshampas for not adhering to the culture laws, and to this day many of them are in exile, mostly in India. Bhutanese culture, or more specifically the Ngolop and Sharchop groups, are heavily influenced by Tibetan culture. To put it in the simplest way I can, Bhutan is kind of like an extension of the Tibetan.
If you think about it, Tibet is so fucking big, right? Like, what do you know about Tibet? We don't know shit about Tibet. We know it's being occupied unlawfully by China, and apparently they have a lot of lakes, huh? That looks good. Tibet is so big, you never really realized that.
Empire that kind of went a little rogue and did its own little thing. The official language
not very woke anymore. Thank you, Ghetto Lenny. Thank you, man.
Language, and they even use the same alphabet. The only difference is some of the letters make different sounds, but overall, generally, people who speak Dzonga can understand what Tibetan people are saying more often than not, and vice versa. The Sikkimese people of northern India also have a similar language structure to Dzonga, but it's a little bit more unintelligible and they write a different way too. To make things even crazier, due to a former ban from the former king, Bhutan didn't even have any TVs until 1999 and internet until the early 2000s.
Wow.
And to this day, Bhutan is the only country in the world that deliberately chooses to not have any traffic lights and instead opts for traffic guards. Even North Korea
you gotta
has
create
traffic
jobs
lights,
somehow.
Most of them don't work. Bhutanese TV though is not restrictive. They can pretty much watch anything they want. CNN, BBC, Cartoon Network. However, there are two government networks, BBS1 and BBS2, that cover a variety of TV shows and newscasts, all in the Dzonga language.
I would love to see a Bhutanese TV show.
Bhutan is a monarchy, formerly an absolute monarchy, but about 20 years ago the system changed so that now the king can be impeached by a 2/3 majority vote of the National Assembly. Coronated in 2008 after his father abdicated, Jigme Khesar Namgyel Wanchuk is the current monarch, with his wife Queen Jetsun Pema being arguably the world's most attractive monarchs. Bhutan is of course a very highly Buddhist influenced nation.
Shout out to my boy Jigme. Good job.
That mostly follows the Drukpa Kagyutpa branch of Buddhism. This involves a plethora of colorful shrines, temples, and statues and prayer wheels that are a part of everyday life, rural or urban. English is taught in schools, making Bhutan a surprisingly English-friendly country despite the lack of
Italians. Did you hear that? They have English in school. What?
That they have with the US and the UK. This is partially attributed to the nationals being able to speak it with their Indian and Bengali friends and tourists. However, those aren't the only people that Bhutan speaks to. Now, Bhutan may be closed off from the rest of the world. However, it's weird because they're also kind of passively open to everybody else. Now, like mentioned before, India and Bangladesh are the only two countries that have embassies in Bhutan and are close partners in business and trade. Bhutan trusts India and Bangladesh enough to the point where they don't believe their country's cultural values will be a threat to the presence of these people. Nonetheless, there is still a stark contrast in culture between these nations, with India predominantly Hindu and Bangladesh predominantly Muslim in influence. Nepal has a little bit of a bone to pick with Bhutan. Now, of course, like mentioned before, back in the 90s, over 100,000 Nepalese people were forced into exile after the king made the cultural customs decree after feeling a slight threat from the Nepalese minority that weren't adhering to the Bhutanese customs. Bhutan was kind of harshly criticized for this.
Nepal though has the coolest flag of all times, man. Tell me a cooler flag than Nepal, man.
Then there's China, which
cool
after
flag.
the siege...
Dude, but I was in Sardinia. Me and Lisa were really intrigued by their flag. Everywhere you see this flag. Everywhere. And me and Lisa were like, we're in Italy, we're in Sardinia, European country. Why is there for black guys, as they say, Moors, an old word for black people. Why is there for black people on the flag? And I was researching it, and it's not fully known, but it looks like, first of all, you have the cross of St. George, also like England, for example. And it's not slaves, no. What I've read is that when Sardinia belonged to Aragon in 1100 something, the Saracens were invading Sardinia, and they pushed them back. And then they made a gift to the king, where they had a shield, and on the shield was 4 decapitated heads of Saracens, black guys. And then he was like, this is gonna be the flag of Sardinia. It's rumors, not proven, but that's kind of what they tell you. In a way. But I was wondering, why is there 4 black guys in the Sardinian flag? And you see it everywhere.
Of Tibet in 1959 effectively closed off all
Not a very woke flag, Twitter. Maybe you guys should tweet against Sardinia. What's going on there? Beheaded black people? Oh.
China. It got even worse when Chinese soldiers were spotted building some roads with the disputed Doklam Plateau region. China claims this was not done for any aggression, but Bhutan claims that China did this to further their territorial claims on the region. China? What the?
Fucking China doing shenanigans even there? Just building a road?
Oh no!
In the twilight?
Oh gosh golly, did I get too close? Oh, well, I mean, it's already there. I may as well just leave the road. Which is kind of funny because in terms of their best friends, Bhutan would probably consider the Tibet region, and specifically the ethnic Tibetan peoples of China, but of course not the rest of China. After Chinese occupation, numerous Tibetans fled to Bhutan as refugees and are seen as like the close brothers of Bhutan.
When did China actually take Tibet? When was that? That wasn't even that long ago, right?
Really close historical ties, religions, practices, and lifestyles that make them.
Look how big Tibet is, man. You never really think about that.
Bhutan is like the little
1999. No, 1950. 1990s. What is it? 50s or 90s? In the 50s.
But now they kind of do care, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with caring about what others think of you, as long as you don't take it to the degree of basing all of your self-worth and value off of it.
The stream is now banned in China.
Stay tuned, Bolivia is coming up next.
Interesting. We didn't learn that much, but a little bit. Nice. We learned a lot, you boys.